Calling this meeting to order. Good evening, everyone. At this time, I'll ask the clerk to read the meeting and to call the roll.
Roll call. Markley. Here. Walters. Here. Philbrook.
Here.
Walker. Townsend.
Here.
McKiernan.
Here.
Murguia.
Here.
Maddox. Kane. Holland.
Here. This evening, the invocation is being given by Reverend Mike May of St. Luke's Lutheran Church, Emeritus. Please stand and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Almighty and merciful God, assist us by your grace tonight, not to pray like hypocrites, standing in public places simply to be seen by others, or conveniently to place ourselves in a comfortable majority. Rather, even as we sit in this public meeting, help us to approach you in the quiet rooms of our hearts, at the center of ourselves, where you see and know all that we are about. There in that place, address and guide us as individuals, that we here together gathered to do the work of this precious municipality may work in harmony for the greater good of the whole. Help us to put aside private or selfish ambitions. Fill us with a sense of the power and permission that comes with seeking to assist others in pursuit of their dreams. In short, make us your people for the world and for one another. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Reverend May, for being here. Before we start, I want to make two quick things. One, to let you know that the Republican National Convention Selection Committee is in town and has been here since last night. Kansas City is one of the 4 finalists nationally for this. It's an enormous convention. This commission has passed a unanimous resolution inviting the RNC to come to the greater Kansas City area in 2016, and we've also committed some tourist dollars to help make that happen in terms of the selection site time. So they're meeting tonight, and we just want to let you know that we are, I have been actively involved. Maureen Mahoney on my staff has been actively involved in that initiative, and we're hoping to be the one selected this fall. So we will keep you posted on that, but that process is ongoing. I was at the breakfast this morning. 7:30 in the morning seemed a little early, but that's when we had the breakfast. And so we did that, and there's events tonight and tomorrow as well that I'll be involved in. So anyway, just want to give you an update that the RNC selection process, that's the reason I'm wearing this pin tonight. Also, I bring greetings from the city and county of Limerick, Ireland. I just returned from a sister city visit to Limerick. We actually have an informal relationship with Ballylanders, which is a small town in the county of Limerick in Ireland. And that informal relationship started because Father Ray Davern, who many of you remember and know, who's now deceased, was from Ballylanders, and there was some interest in creating a sister city relationship. Since that time, the city and county of Limerick have combined their government. They're now a unified government and are interested in a more formal relationship with our city. We have a similar population, and had an opportunity to meet with them and talk about some of their aspirations for that relationship, which would include discussing some governmental pieces, also for discussing economic development issues and student exchanges. They have a university there of about 20,000 students in Limerick that is very interesting. Also had an opportunity to visit with the Irish Electric Board. They have a publicly owned utility that covers the entire country, all 2.6 million customers, and they are doing a fiber to the home initiative for every household in the country, and was able to visit with them. They had a delegation that came to Kansas City last year to talk about, learn from us in terms of how we have started that program, and had an opportunity to meet with the Minister of Communication and Energy there and talk about some ways that we could work together in terms of understanding this rollout for each other. So hopefully there will be more conversations in that, and I'm hoping that they will send a delegation over here from Limerick. And the next opportunity, if there is an opportunity to do a formal twinning, would want to take a larger delegation over with elected officials and community members. We have a lot of people in our community who have Irish heritage, and it would be a great opportunity to share that. My commitment has been, we have 4 sister cities, is to go to one each year as mayor, and the next one actually would do in a combination. It's both Austria, Germany, and Croatia, that we would be able to do both in one trip. I'm anticipating not doing that in 15, but probably in 16. So you might start thinking about that if you're interested, elected officials or community members who would be interested in going on a larger delegation to our established sister cities in Austria, Germany, and Croatia. Really would be a great opportunity to do that. So these cultural exchanges are very valuable, but one of the things I want to think about too is how do we maximize the economic development component of them and the student exchanges, because I think there's an opportunity really to make them more than what perhaps they've been even in the past. So that's my sister city update. I will note that I have a green tie on today, which was given to me there. They were Ireland was had the presidency of the European Union, and so they bought special ties for the European Union, and I got one of those ties. I've never had a green tie before, and I'm delighted. So anyway, I bring greetings from Limerick City and County to our community and to our elected officials, and I do have, for the elected officials, you will find on your desk a little gift from Ireland, so I hope you appreciate that. Okay, that's all of my announcements. We are now coming to our first item, and that first item is, Ms. Cobbins, are there any revisions to tonight's agenda?
Mr. Mayor, we do not have a blue sheet tonight. However, it should be noted that under item number 1 of the consent agenda, the reappointment of Ms. Pitts to the Law Enforcement Advisory Board, that item was submitted by Commissioner Murguia. It was inadvertently left off the agenda.
Okay, so when we get to the item, it lists the appointment, but it did not list which commissioner had done the appointment, and Eleanor Pitts is from Commissioner Murguia. So noted. Okay, there are no other revisions. That brings us to our first item, which is a proclamation recognizing Michael James Peterson Day, and the Peterson family is here, and a great public servant for our community for many, many years. So I'll come forward to present this, and I would invite any of the commissioners that would like to come down with me so we can congratulate the Peterson family as the clerk reads the proclamation.
The proclamation reads, whereas Michael James Peterson was born and raised in Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas on September 18, 1941. Attending St. Peter's Cathedral and Bishop Ward High School, he graduated in 1959, where he was regarded as one of the best athletes to come out of the metropolitan area, choosing to attend the University of Notre Dame on a full football scholarship. And whereas, after college, Michael James Peterson were offered several contracts to play football in the National Football League, but turned them down to attend law school at UMKC while teaching at Rockhurst High School and coaching multiple sports, including leading the St. Peter's Cathedral football team for more than 10 years, compiling an 84-4 record and winning championships in all but one of his coaching seasons. And whereas Mr. Peterson finished law school in 1969 and began his law practice and political career, serving as an attorney, a precinct committee man, ward captain, and Wyandotte Democratic Central Committee chairman for more than 4 decades. And whereas Michael James Peterson was appointed to the Kansas House of Representatives in 1979, serving until 1991, and serving again from 2005 until his passing in 2014, where he was an authority on federal and state affairs, judiciary, legal publication, and redistricting. And whereas Mr. Peterson has 5 children and 14 grandchildren that all reside in Wyandotte County, his children all contribute to the well-being and advancement of Wyandotte County communities they reside in. And whereas Michael James Peterson passed away peacefully on February 18, 2014, surrounded by his family and loved ones. Now, therefore, I, Mark R. Holland, Mayor, CEO of the Unified Government of Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas, do hereby proclaim June 5th, 2014 as Michael James Peterson Day.
like many of us, when we heard of Mr. Peterson's passing, I wanted to reach out to the family and acknowledge his great years of service to our community. We're deeply indebted to him and to his family, who are continuing that legacy of service. Very proud of the legacy of Mr. Peterson, and glad to present this today. And I just want to thank you for being here tonight, and would invite you, if you'd like to say a few words, you're welcome.
I hadn't planned on speaking, but I cannot. We thank you very much.
I did invite the Peterson family. They're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but I think on a whole, the Peterson family has been through a lot of meetings. So on the credit your father has earned, you're excused. Thank you very much. God bless. All right. The next item on our agenda is the Hollywood Casino Charitable Funds Disbursement. This has been an ongoing point of discussion. What I want to do as we talk about this, we have a report from the committee in terms of the allocation. You have seen that was published and sent to you. And there are really two lines of conversation that I think we need to have. After last year, and we talk about this on a regular basis, this commission inherited the procedures from a previous commission who set this up. And I think there was some desire last year to review the intent of the grants, and to review not only the intent but also perhaps the process. So that's one conversation I think we need to have. The other is, we had previously asked the committee to go forward under the previous policy and make their recommendations based on the way we set it up before. And basically last year we pushed off the decision by a year in terms of exercising the process. So what I want to do actually before the presentation in terms of what the grant, where the grant is going, is I want to talk about a possible process moving forward in terms of evaluating the success of the current project. And there's a couple of ways to do that, but one is there have been 3 commissioners who have been active in kind of setting this up initially and reviewing it last year. And that's Murguia and McKiernan and Walters. All 3 worked on that. One way we could approach this is we could ask the 3 of them to meet with the advising committee. The advising committee was only supposed to serve 1 year, and we decided that because it was such a short time and they were the first group, to ask them to serve a second year and then to do the evaluation and see how it went. We could ask the 3 commissioners, if you all 3 are still willing to serve, or if there are other commissioners who are interested, to meet with them, the committee, and evaluate how they felt like it went and bring recommendations back to the commission in terms of next steps, if you're open to that. In addition, it would be helpful, because we're getting a year-end report in June. Is that right? Early July, we'll get a report in terms of the last year's funding cycle. it might be helpful even to engage the legislative auditor, Mr. Wiss, in looking at that evaluation and meeting with the commissioners and the committee together to kind of talk about how that process. So I kind of wanted to have the process conversation first before we move into the item in terms of how this was done, because I think that's been a major point. I don't want to say of contention, but just of interest from the commission in terms of how we do this in the future. So any thoughts about the process now before we talk about particularly this? So Commissioner Kane?
Mayor, I would just like to see the three commissioners that are on it continue to, since it's new, since we don't want to go backwards, that the three that are on there continue to be on there for a while until we get our feet solid on the ground.
Fair enough. Note that Mr. Kane was not volunteering to join that group.
And as a backup, I volunteer Markley.
That's very generous of you, Commissioner Kane. We will note your generosity in the minutes. Other thoughts about that? I'm just thinking when we get the report in July about the first, because we're actually tonight, to keep on cycle, would be approving this year's before that assessment's done. And there's really no way around that. And so, but I did want to set up a process because I don't want to get to where we were last year where we said, really too late to make a change. Oh, we want to change it. We need to start this process right now.
Agreed.
Commissioner McKiernan.
Well, and I it's loud tonight. I totally agree with that, but we had a couple of very substantive and productive discussions about this several months ago. And so we'll be following up those, but all the rest of the commissioners may expect that we may we will touch base with everybody to get continued perspective after this round as well.
And I think what I would encourage each commissioner to do is to communicate directly to the three commissioners, ideas and thoughts that you have, both on the intent of the grants, how we're doing it, what your thoughts are in terms of how you would like to see it if there are any changes. I've heard, some folks are fine with the way it's working. I haven't heard anyone say we're not giving the money to worthwhile organizations. I think the larger issue is, it's certainly not that. There are larger issues in terms of how this grant process, and it's new to us. It's a new process that came about with the casino revenue. So we just want to make sure that we're evaluating it in a healthy, constructive way, and that we're moving the process forward down the road. So if people are agreeable for the three, I'm seeing heads nod, I'm not seeing any disagreement. We'll ask the three commissioners to sit down in late July, or July whenever. Of course, July might be busy, but we'll ask these commissioners to sit down as soon as possible with the committee and with Mr. Wiss, and to do an evaluation, and then to come back to the commission with some recommendations. And actually that will work well, because as we think about the timing for the commission going into the fall, we'll have another strategic planning session, and hopefully we can incorporate that feedback into our strategic planning to make sure that the usage of these funds is pushing our strategic plan forward and how it incorporates. So does that sound agreeable to everyone? Okay. So with that kind of process discussion out, go ahead with your discussion in terms of the presentation tonight on what you're asking us to vote on.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners.
Can we turn that microphone up, please? I'm not hearing it very loudly.
Hopefully that's a little bit better. So on May 27th, as it says in the RFA, the selection committee met and went through the process of providing with a slate of or proposed slate of 17 applicants to be funded with the money this year. I did want to, none of the committee members could be here, but I do want to mention them by name and thank them for their service, because this has been 2 years in a row and it was a significant effort. The chair was Dr. Bernard Franklin. Members were Dr. Kim Kimenow from KU Med Center, Wendell Maddox from the United Way of Wyandotte County, Willie Smith as a community representative, Bob Sheldon from the Hollywood Casino, and that's everybody. That's all 5. But again, they were very conscientious again this year. I thought they put out a tremendous amount of effort, and for the pay, I think we got a great value for the money. So, but they do have some really good ideas to share. Again, being year 2 in the process, I think I can safely say they don't want a year 3. but they are willing to offer their suggestions and their opinions about what went right and what went wrong, with the current process. So I want to introduce Myra Aguirre. Myra was here with us last year. She's with the Greater Kansas City Community Foundation, and we hire them for the back office support, for evaluation of kind of a baseline evaluation to make sure they're meeting some minimum criteria. And they also have a fabulous online grant system where people can apply online. And Myra is also available for any technical support via email or phone, and I was grateful to have her. So anyway, Myra, I'll let you talk about the spreadsheet.
Thank you, Commissioners, Mayor. So the spreadsheet that you have before you is the spreadsheet that the committee is recommending for approval of the 17 organizations who would receive the $492,919.14. We did receive 39 applications totaling requests of almost 1.9 million. So obviously it was a difficult decision for the committee members to make those decisions. The grants committee did make some changes to the application process this year in terms of the requirements that were required of the applicants. The committee wanted to create standard budget templates, so they required a standard budget narrative, standard program budget, and a standard operating budget to assist the committee to make their determinations. And the grants committee also required an audit from the organizations, which was something, those items were all different from last year. Also looking at the spreadsheet, it's not an error that the numbers are inverted. The lowest score was the top applicant. I just wanted to note that that was a difference in our deliberations, the scoring process this year. The lower the score, the better the applicant. So I just wanted to note that that was not an error.
Okay. Any other? I would hope that you would be a part of this evaluation process as well as we go into the evaluation. So since you've been a part of this for the last 2 years, I think your input would be helpful as well.
Happy to.
Thank you. We are in a position to accept a motion. Yes, Commissioner Kane.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I want to thank the three commissioners for your hard work, and if you have to work with them, I apologize. But I think this is something that is well worth what we're doing and the time that's spent. And we'd love to give everybody as much money as they're asked for. Unfortunately, we can't, but I want to make a motion that we accept what the committee has put forward with us.
Second.
It has been moved and second. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, roll call on the motion.
Roll call. Markley.
Aye.
Walters. Philbrook.
Aye.
Townsend.
Aye.
McKiernan.
Aye.
Murguia.
Aye.
Kane. The vote is 7-0. That motion passed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for all your hard work on it. We appreciate it. Okay, that brings us to tonight's consent agenda. I would ask if anyone in attendance tonight would like to remove any item from the consent agenda. I do have one that I need to pull off. There was a conversation. Apparently, our appointments to boards and commissions has been complicated tonight. There are only two, and there's a change to both of them. One, we didn't print Commissioner Murguia's name, and we've corrected that. That was administrative. The other is we've had a phone call from Ms. Shafan Morrison, who is Commissioner Maddox's appointment, who has stated to staff that she's not interested in serving. And so I'm going to recommend pulling that one off and sending it back to Commissioner Maddox. If it's an error, the staff has tried to reach Commissioner Maddox today and was unable to do so. Obviously, we would not want to pull that off without his permission or knowledge, but because we haven't been able to reach him, I feel like we need to go ahead and do that. So we'll pull that one off of the consent agenda. But is there any other item that anyone would like to pull off?
Move for approval for all remaining items.
Second.
Let the record show I saw no one in the audience moving forward to pull an item, nor another commissioner. So that motion and second are appropriate. Roll call.
Roll call. Markley.
Aye.
Walters. Philbrook.
Aye.
Townsend.
Aye.
McKiernan.
Aye.
Murguia.
Aye.
Kane. The vote is 7-0. That motion passed.
That brings us to our standing committee agenda. Item number 1 is a resolution for securities disclosures and procedures.
Mr. Mayor, we need to vote on the item number 6 that was pulled off the consent agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry. And we're moving to refer that back to Commissioner Maddox, is that right? I'll go ahead and make that motion.
Second.
And then a vote on the one for Commissioner Murguia, her appointment.
Oh, did I pull that one off too?
Well, because they were together.
It was all one item under item number 6. It was 2 items, the one for Commissioner Murguia and the one for Commissioner Maddox.
Let the record show I did not intend to pull Commissioner Murguia's item off the agenda. I understand it was combined. So I've made the motion to refer the first one back to Commissioner Maddox. Roll call. Can I do it in one motion? To approve one and refer the other one back? Oh, I'd love that.
Second.
So the motion is to refer the one back to Commissioner Maddox and to approve Commissioner Murguia's.
Correct. Roll call. Markley.
Aye.
Walters. Philbrook.
Aye.
Townsend.
Aye.
McKiernan.
Aye.
Kane. Murguia.
I was going to say, aye.
Yeah. The vote is 7-0. That motion passes.
That was the hardest boards and commissions vote of all time. But we got it done. Okay. Now we're ready for first item on standing committee, is that right? First item on standing committee is a resolution for securities and disclosures. This was unanimously approved by Commissioner McKiernan's group and
Move
has
to
been
approve.
asked to be fast-tracked. It's been moved and seconded. Seeing no discussion. Roll call.
Roll call. Markley.
Aye.
Walters. Philbrook.
Aye.
Townsend.
Aye.
McKiernan.
Aye.
Murguia.
Aye.
Kane. Vote is 7-0. That motion passed.
All right. Excellent presentation, Mr. Levin. Item number 2 is a request for a feasibility study for convention space. This was also voted unanimously by Commissioner McKiernan's group, but I would ask Mr. Bach to say a few words about this.
This item comes to us as, over the past few years, I think we've had increasing interest in convention opportunities that could take place around the Village West area in the 435 corridor. And in fact, we've had recently a few developers that have come in and talked about doing various projects in that area. It was felt as we stepped back and had further discussion on it that such a recommendation or such a project, if we ever decided to move forward with that, is that we should have control of it in the sense of determining what is the real demand, what is the size for such a facility, and what are the flexible type of uses that could come into such a use. So that's our recommendation, that we go out, get an RFP for this, and or do an RFP, come back, select a consultant to go through and do this study. I will also say that we've had several community partners in that of the Convention and Visitors Bureau, and also developments within the development area that have stepped up and are willing to take on the cost of almost all, if not all, of the costs that it will take to do this feasibility study. So I think it'll be very well worth our while to move forward with this and get this done. And I think we'll be able to come back with recommendations after we view with the consultant about what they'd be recommending.
So
Commissioner-
moved. Second?
Been moved and seconded. Commissioner Kane.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't know if a lot of you commissioners realize that there's 250, 300 or less participants that go to Kansas City, Missouri every year, including the Butterfly Group, which spends more money at the casino than anybody else. And I think we're missing an opportunity to not have them here on our side of the state line. Not that we're stealing them, we just want them to come over here. And if you think about it, a lot of major conventions can't be held here because we don't have the area to bring it. And if we do this study, and it says, you're talking multiple, just use the union that I work for, they're looking for a place to go different. And in my mind, there's no better place than the land of Oz.
Well, and I would say one of the big missing pieces out west is convention space. It could have the same kind of impact as our other major attractions out there, our stadiums, the legends. We have major attractions out there, and we have something out there that a lot of other convention spaces don't have. We have all those amenities around it. And so I think we have a unique location that could be very competitive, not just regionally, but nationally for conventions. And I think this is a great opportunity to explore. So I'm pleased to see us moving forward on it, and I want to thank Doug Bach for pushing this issue, and for Commissioner Walters for his work on this. He's got some expertise in this area, and appreciate him bringing that to the table as well. With that, I'm seeing no further comments or questions. Roll call.
Roll call. Markley.
Aye.
Walters. Philbrook.
Aye.
Townsend.
Aye.
McKiernan.
Aye.
Murguia.
Aye.
Kane. The vote is 7-0. That motion passed.
We now have a special use permit request. Rob Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the commission. The ordinance provides for a special short-term special use permit for carnivals, fairs, other activities of the like that don't require the normal notice and longer process. Mr. Baumgartner has applied for Pride Fest 2014 down on our side of the line in the West Bottoms, and he's here to give a presentation. They do meet all the criteria of the ordinance, but if you want to know more about it, he's here to do a presentation.
Okay. So the question is, do we want a presentation?
Move to approve.
It's been moved and seconded. Any comments? Not seeing any comments. Roll call.
Roll call. Markley.
Aye.
Walters. Philbrook.
Aye.
Townsend.
Aye.
McKiernan.
Aye.
Murguia.
Aye.
Kane. The vote is 7-0. That motion passed.
All right. I believe that is the end of our agenda. We are adjourned.